Hello, and welcome to the fourth of 5 videos on setting up and administering online drumcondra tests. In this video, we'll be going through the preparations for the day of testing, as well as the process for administering the online tests. Now, there are several steps that you'll need to go through in preparing to administer the online drumcondras. First, you'll need to download the student password sheets for your test session. So to do this, on DOTS, select Test Scheduler in the menu, and then Online Test Session, and you'll see a list of the test sessions that you've set up. So just click on the Options button next to your test session and then Get Password. Now this will download a PDF file to your computer. You'll see on the cover sheet for this PDF file, there's some information that you'll need to administer the online tests. Also listed is all of the login information for each student that they'll need to log into the online tests. So under all of these general test details, you'll see some steps that you should follow in advance of testing. So first, it'll say that you should retain this cover sheet as it shows the group test ID number. You'll need this on the day of testing to allow students to log into the test. Next, it notes that you'll need to print out and cut the following pages into strips. As you can see from page 2 onwards, it lists each student's name along with their login number and their password. And these are the details that they'll need to get into the online test. So we would recommend that you print out these sheets and make sure that they're printed out single-sided, and then cut along the dotted line and keep all of these slips handy for the day of testing to hand out to students. So next, it'll instruct you that you should check the devices that are going to be used by students before the day of testing. So it goes through that in a bit more detail just below. So first you want to get together all of the devices that are going to be used by students on the day of testing, whether they're iPads or desktop PCs or Chromebooks. And then it'll give you a web page that you want to go to on each of these devices to check that everything is displaying correctly. So we'll just take a look at what this test page looks like. So if there aren't any issues detected, you should get a page that looks something like this, where it says MathJax appears to be working. Now, if there are any problems with the display on any of the devices, you might get a message that looks more like this, where it just says that it's not working. You'll also see some of your device information just below there. If you ever need to contact us for assistance with any of these issues, we might ask you to give us some of this device information just to help us diagnose what the problem is. You can also, following the instructions on this cover sheet, try to resolve any of these issues yourself by applying system updates and browser updates on any affected devices. So that might solve any problems that were flagged on the test page. And next, you'll just see a short note about data retention, which reminds you that any of the student information or test results that are on DOTS will only be stored until December of the following school year. So that's really just a reminder that you should download any test results as soon as they're available and keep them on a school computer or on your school network. Now, the next step is to download the administration manual for the test that you're going to administer. So to get the administration manual, you can go back onto DOTS and select Resources in the menu and then Admin Manuals. So here you'll see that there is a separate manual for each of the online tests. So you've got the DRT manual, that's for the drumcondra reasoning test. There's the PNT 3 to 6 manual, that's for the primary maths test for 3rd to 6th class. There's the PRT 3 to 6 for the primary reading test for 3rd to 6th class. So to download your manual, just click on this arrow next to the one that you're looking for. In this case, the primary maths for 3rd to 6th class. This will again download a PDF to your computer. Now, there's a lot of information in this manual on preparing for the day of testing. There's also some information about the timing of the online tests, how long breaks should be between sections, and how long should be allowed for instructing pupils on how to go through the test. There's also some information on materials that pupils might require on the day of the test. And very importantly, it will also contain the script that you'll need to follow on the day of testing to guide students through the test. Now we can go through some of the basic steps that students will need to follow in order to log in and take the online Drumcondra tests. So the first thing they'll need to do is open up a web browser on their device and go to takethetest.erc.ie. They'll be presented with this login screen. So this is where they'll need to use the login slip that's been handed out to them. And they will be able to fill in first their login number. Say for Rebecca, it is 12545013. It identifies her correctly. And she'll just need to type in her password, Gaze Rich. And this will allow her to press the start button to log into the test. Now, before any of the students are able to begin the test, they'll need to enter the test ID. So, as the test administrator, you should confirm that all students have been able to reach this screen successfully. Now, once all of the students have gotten to this screen, you can check the cover sheet of your PDF for the test ID number, in this case 3657, and call this out to the class. And once all of the students have typed this in, it'll allow them to start the test. They'll now just get a short welcome screen, and it'll introduce them to the practice questions that they'll run through just to familiarize them with the layout and process of going through the test. So they'll get a few instructions on how to complete the practice questions, and then they can just go through question by question. It'll notify when they've entered the correct answer for these practice questions. If they enter an incorrect answer, it'll flag that it was incorrect, and they have to select the correct one before continuing. Once they've gotten through all of the practice questions, they'll get a short notification and then one more short introductory screen before beginning the main part of the test. So once you, as the test administrator, are satisfied that everybody has gotten through the practice questions okay, you can instruct the class to click the Start Test button, and this will bring them into the main portion of the test. Now, you'll see that there's an automatic timer at the top of the test that will count down, and once this reaches 0, the students will automatically finish the section and they won't be able to answer any more questions. Now, while students are going through the main part of the test, you as the administrator can go back onto DOTS and go to a monitor screen to check on everyone's progress through the test. So to do that, you'll go back to Test Scheduler and Online Test Session. Again, click the Options button next to your session and then Monitor. This will show you a list of all the students in the session and will show you any students who've logged in and how far they are through the test. Now, you'll note that as students make their way through the test, if you refresh this monitor screen, you'll get an update on how far they've made it through the test so far. So in this case, Rebecca is now 8% of the way through the test. There's an additional function that you can use on this monitor screen if any students have used this Get Help function on the test screen. hand icon will be displayed next to their name on your monitor screen. So you'll be able to go to the pupil and assist them with whatever issues they're going through. And then they can put their hand back down once the issue is resolved. Now, Sundrum contra tests are split into two sections. And in these cases, once pupils get to the end of the first section of the test, they'll be presented with this break screen. Now, normally a break is about 5 to 10 minutes. And once all of the students have finished the first part of the test and have had a short break, you can go back to your PDF cover sheet and call out this password, in this case star, to the entire class. They will be able to enter this into the password box and click continue to go ahead with the rest of the test. Again, back on the monitor screen, you will be able to refresh the page and see that students have proceeded correctly on to part B of the test and find that their progress percentage has also updated. Once the time for all of the students has run out on the second part of the test will be complete. You can now go ahead and get the test results directly from DOTS. We'll cover the process of getting these results in the next video.